Welcome to News9 Mediaverse, and you're watching On Point with me. History has been created in Mizoram. ZPM has soundly defeated both MNF and Congress. Congress has been reduced to a single digit, and MNF CM Zoramthanga was defeated by ZPM candidate. So before I go to the subject matter experts, let me tell you the story of ZPM. What is ZPM? How did it come about? How has it become so powerful? And how it has been able to create a space between MNF and Congress in Northeast, and the rise of ZPM, collapse of the Congress party, and complete sidelining of MNF. And Zoramthanga losing elections is history. So he's the man. And this is the assembly. 27 seats in election. 10. BJP 2. Indian National Congress 1. A party which dominated the entire Northeast is at the bottom. The party which was a starter is number 1. So ZPM is number 1 party. So what has happened? How come a new regional party has come out? Is it like a Tripura Motha? But Tripura Motha could never win Tripura. It spoiled the chance of the left Congress combined. But here ZPM came on its own, of its own, by its own, and it became the biggest party. Now let's change the graphic. Now this is the vote share. The vote share of ZPM is 37.86%. 37.86%. MNF vote share is 35.10%. BJP, which got 2 seats, is 5.06%. Imagine Congress, which got 20% of the vote, has got 1 seat. 1 seat. 1 seat. 1 seat. That's the difference. So look at the gamut. Complete consolidation of vote in 2 constituencies, 2 seats. 20.8.2% vote, single seat. 37.86%, 27. And 35.10, it's 10 seat. Let's change the graphic. Now in 2018 and 2013, if you look at the election, it was all about Congress and MNF. There is no ZPM. ZPM is a 6-party alliance. Let's change the graphic, the newer graphic. So let me tell you what ZPM is. Zoramthanga, the Chief Minister, he lost to ZPM candidates in Aizawl East 1. Mizoram poll, the big losers. The Deputy Chief Minister also lost. That's the power of ZPM. The Deputy Chief Minister also lost. The Health Minister also lost. The Health Minister also lost. He also lost to the ZPM. The Rural Development Minister lost. So entire machinery, the entire top brass of the MNF lost. And MNF signed peace accord with Union of India in 1987. Lalduhoma-led was Chief Minister. Zoramthanga was his personal secretary. Zoramthanga succeeded him. Aizawl was bombed during insurgency by Indira Gandhi. This specific incident was recounted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during Manipur discussion. But nonetheless, he is the man. He was part of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's security entourage. And he was elected to Lok Sabha on Congress ticket in 1984. He gave up Congress membership. Was accused of conspiring against then CM Lalduhoma-led. First MP to be disqualified under anti-defection law in 1988. Long journey. Long journey. Disqualified from assembly on a MNF complaint. In 2020, ZPM selected him as its CM face, 2018. Won Aizawl West, won in the last poll. And now, he has retained it by defeating his MNF rival. So in a way, he has come a long way. So before I play out more graphics, let me play out the bite of the man, Lalduhoma. the BJP chief and others who have made a difference in politics of Mizoram?
Mizoram is facing a financial crisis, and the financial condition is very bad. That is what we are going to inherit from the outgoing government. In spite of this, we are going to honor our commitment, that is buying of 4 selected items such as ginger, turmeric, chili, and broomstick. These 4 items have been identified, and we have declared the minimum price, and we are going to start right now. From right now, we are going to make a process of buying these 4 items in spite of all the constraints that we are facing. This is our commitment to the people, and we are going to honor it. This is our first priority. We are the friend of farmers, and we have to give them the top priority. After that, there will be a consolidation in finance. Financial reform is very necessary. For that, we are going to make a resource mobilization team comprising the expert members, and they'll look after the austerity measures, disinvestment measures, and manpower assessment and all that. After that, our main priority will be anti-corruption measures. For that, we are going to give a general consent to the CBI as soon as possible. And after swearing in, we will announce our top priorities for the next coming 100 years. Probably tomorrow or by next day after tomorrow, I'll meet the governor and I'll tell him that I can form a government. After that, we'll have a meeting with our elders' council. We are going to form a ministry with them. It's not me alone who can, form a government. According to our constitution, it has to be decided by the chief minister, along with the advice of the members of the VUC.
Because of the anti-incumbency effect, and the people are aggrieved and not satisfied with my performance because of this COVID onslaught. So I lost my government, and therefore I am really satisfied and accepted the verdict of the people, and I hope that the next government will perform well. It is anti-incumbency and then the effect of this COVID onslaught. Well, it depends upon the decision of my party. I am the founding member of the NDA. I have no mind to leave NDA either.
So result is as per the expectation of the general population. Earlier I said that people expected the hung assembly, but after showing the results, is a little unexpected. But for India, all the regional parties are working with the BJP as an NDA or NEDA. So here also, if ZPM needs our involvement in the development of Mizoram, for the development of Mizoram, BJP is ready to do it. So there is no point that we are against the ZPM or this and that. So we are always ready to bring the development and to support if they need our support.
Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling is the word. Mind-boggling election. Imagine a new party, which has been struggling, completely rupturing the politics in Mizoram. Entire Northeast politics is fascinating, Brijesh. And the way, despite so much of turbulence in Manipur, despite Zoramthanga taking such a populist stand, you have this guy just coming up, and he's not someone young, He has been in politics for some time, and despite that, he was able to induct a lot of young people, lot of celebrities.
And majority of them are below 50 years.
And majority of them are below 50. On this, I'm joined by Zoramthanga, senior journalist from Mizoram, Professor Dongal, Department of Political Science, Mizoram University, Mr Chakma, Director, Rights and Risk Analysis, and Lalduhoma-led, political analyst and assistant professor, Faith College, Aizawl. So, to you, yesterday we did 4 states, Brijesh. Yeah. Today we are doing Mizoram. What's the big picture, Overall, Mizoram has also thrown up a surprise.
Well, I think, I mean, one thing is very clear in all the 5 elections that, wherever the winning party has got the mandate, they have got a complete convincing mandate. There is no if and but about it that, this thing worked and all. Everything worked for the party. And I think ZPM's clean sweep points to that direction only. We heard Zoramthanga, taking a very hard, strident stand during the Manipur crisis when, the migrants would walk into to the state of Mizoram, and also saw that him refusing to share the dais with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, everything taking a very hawkish stand. But ultimately it didn't work out for him. And look at the fact that almost all his entire cabinet was wiped out,
Okay.
and they all were defeated.
Okay.
So I think ZPM has got a
Okay.
fantastic majority
Let
to
me go
work on.
across to Lala Mulduni. A lot of people would not know what a Zoram movement is. Can you tell me what this Zoram People's Movement is for our viewers? What does it represent?
Yeah, Zoram People's Movement is an alliance formed, way back in 2017. And when they contested the election in 2018, that, it was not formally recognized by the ECI. So therefore, they had to contest in the name of independent candidates. But at that time, they won 8 seats. And but after the 2018 election, that the ZPM hasn't, lost touch with the ground politics. They have been working really hard, in the ground reality, in the ground politics that, and in the ground politics that, they have, the grassroots control. So this is one of the major factor of the ZPM, in which they could win this election. This is it is a coalition formed by 6 alliances.
Okay. Suhas, what explains the success of this party? It has. I'll come to you, Mr. Sangha. I'll come to you, Professor Dongle. Also, why has this party succeeded so much? I mean to say, elbowing out both MNF and Congress. There has to be some churn, which must have happened in Mizoram.
Yeah, one thing, Mizoram has seen a bipolar politics since it's attained statehood, where power has been changed between Congress and MNF. So there is a strong anti-incumbency sentiments against Congress and MNF. So ZPM is riding on that strong anti-incumbency wave. This is the main factor that propelled him to this victory in the first place. So the people, especially the younger generation, wants a new government which is non-Congress or non-MNF. So the ZPM is capitalizing on that sentiments.
Suhas.
Hello?
Yes, I heard you. Suhas, what's your understanding of the rise of the ZPM?
Yeah, that's my understanding of the rise of the ZPM.
Okay, this is the question to Mr. Chakma. Sir, this is the question to Mr. Chakma. Suhas, am I audible to you?
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the Congress in the Northeast, Congress is actually struggling to survive. In Northeast, we have a tendency to form government in line with the party in power in Delhi. So Congress, in a way, if you look at it, with the exception of Assam, it has been struggling to basically exist in itself. So Congress was never in contention in that sense. Secondly, I think once the ZPM came into the picture, the anti-incumbency factor, which was mentioned by predecessor, is that, people are looking for an alternative. And I think if you look at Mizoram, Mizoram is so much heavily dependent on the aid from central government because it's being landlocked. It doesn't have, or it doesn't generate adequate resources. It doesn't have that big industries, to provide employment, etc. So when the ZPM came up with this idea of minimum support prices for these 4 items, which the head of the ZPM mentioned, I think apart from the young people in the rural areas, they were quite enticed by it. I think the challenge remains whether, Mizoram will get adequate financial support to carry out its program of buying or purchasing based on this minimum support price. So if you look at the one of the factors which you had mentioned in the beginning, the situation in Manipur, I would say that the position of the political parties in Mizoram have been basically on the same page. There is no difference between the different political parties. So in that sense, Zoramthanga could not have got any benefit. Rather, if he had not dealt with it properly, he would have been blamed. So that's not something you could have, as I said in the beginning, in many shows, that is not something you can sell, because that's the common minimum program sort of a thing. So I would say I think the key factor is actually the purchasing or providing minimum support price for these 4 items. And if you look at the previous policies of the Congress or the MNF, they were trying to come with new land use policy kind of a thing. All those programs have failed. And for the first time, if you look at it, people are not looking into the stadiums to be built by the, the government, which we have seen as the development model or, symbols of development in the district. For the first time, if the government is going to purchase all these items, I think people will genuinely benefit, and it will reach to the people more than new land use policy which Mizoram had under the Congress and the MNF. So I think that's why I think it's quite catchy if you are in Mizoram. I think this minimum support price is quite catchy. And if you look at Mizoram, is not different. BJP would not have won in Madhya Pradesh if they had not launched the Ladli Behna scheme. And it's the same scheme based on which also Congress had won in Karnataka. It was Congress's promise in Madhya Pradesh. But, before they could even implement it, Shivraj Singh Chauhan implemented it, then he won.
So basically, are we saying that there is also element of welfarism in Mizoram?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Really? This is like a revelation to me, Mr. Chakma. Really?
Well, if you look at Mizoram, when I go and visit Mizoram, for the common agriculture, it's so difficult to sell the products which they produce. And they do not have the communication facilities. It's landlocked. It's difficult to come to Assam, difficult to come to Tripura. So if you have the government buying your stuff at the door store, at your doorstep, then obviously nothing could be better than that.
Okay. So, madam, do you think that this was one reason which really fired up ZPM, as Mr. Chakma was saying? Lala Muluni, this is the question to you.
Hello?
Yeah, this is the question to you.
Repeat the question again, please.
I'm saying, did you hear Suhas? Did you hear Mr. Chakma? Did you hear him?
Hello?
Okay, I don't think I'm getting across to her. Mr. Sangha, do you agree with Mr. Chakma?
Sorry, I could not hear what Chakma was saying.
He was saying that welfarism has also become essential in the politics of Mizoram.
Yeah, that's right. This MNF, there was a huge pending bills in this state healthcare. So welfarism also plays an important role in behind the PM's victory.
Okay. Mr. Lala Muni, am I audible to you now? Are you audible? Do you hear me? Lala Muni, can you just unmute yourself?
Hello?
Yes. My question to you was, like for example, Ladli Behna in Madhya Pradesh, do you think that this sort of populism was also evident in Mizoram poll?
Yes, it's kind of, we can say kind of, but not fully. I could say it's not fully, but it's kind of, yeah. And welfare, we talk about welfarism, welfare as a whole, you know that unlike other places, Mizoram has a very peculiar, social setup. We don't have that kind of a caste system, or that kind of a setup system. The welfare and this how should I say this the what unique oneness of a society as a whole, is pretty strong in the state. So whenever this economic policy has been made by any political party in the form of manifesto, that it is usually like free cash distribution, right, for to lift up, in order to promote those the lowest economically weaker section of the society. In that question of welfarism, my answer is that since 1989, the Congress, they have promised in the form of NLUP, free cash distribution, and the ZPM has the MNF has promised SCDP, that also free cash distribution. But this time, what the ZPM has promised is not a free cash distribution, but hand-holding policy, the economic hand-holding policy, which surpass that free cash distribution, and that attracts the voters from the rural areas as well. So I can that is my answer towards how this concept of welfarism, it has reflected in the ZPM policy.
Okay, let me ask a micro question to Swaz, because he's been talking about it. There are a couple of articles which have come. Swaz, tell me if this is right. If this is incorrect, you can we can this can be also those who have who believe that this is correct would know. It says that verdict has also shown that the BJP's entry into the state's Mara community has further firmed up, while the party candidate K. Hamo won the Palak seat. K. Bechuha, the former senior minister of NFF, who was recently moved up to BJP, picked up a different seat. It also says that BJP losing the Twichuang constituency suggests that the party's hold in 2018 over Chakma community was most likely due to the popularity of its then candidate Buddhadhan Chakma. So is it correct to say that they have lost their hold on Chakma community, and they created a foothold in the Mara community? I know it's a very micro question, but I know you can answer it. I
think BJP, as a whole, because of its minority, vote bank-based politics, had made inroads into the Chakma areas. And I think had they played their cards properly and from the last times, then I think they could have won at least 4 seats. But I think Chakmas preferred stability. And I think most of the Chakmas were in the belief that the MNF would come to power. So that's why they had voted actually for the MNF. And I think the most significant result is not the loss of the chief minister. I think the most significant outcome is the loss of the Congress candidate from Demagri Tralabung constituency, where the gentleman had not lost for the 5th consecutive terms, and he has been defeated by an MNF candidate, Prabha Chakma. So you could see that I think the Chakmas wanted stability and better connection with the Aizol, and that's why I think most Chakmas realized the fact that BJP cannot have a future in Mizoram, and if BJP had miserably failed to run the district council when they had won. So I think in that sense, I think BJP leaders, irrespective of the gentleman you had mentioned, I do not think they have that kind of sway or support among the Chakmas. And please remember, the BJP candidate who has been put in 36 Tuachon constituency, he came from the MNF. He's a former CEM of the Chakma Autonomous District Council from the MNF. So in a way, you could see that BJP, from its own cadres, did not have one candidate. Forget about Buddhadhan Chakma or somebody else. They were not confident that a BJP candidate could actually win the elections in the Chakma areas. So that's why they had to import at the last minute from the MNF.
Okay. I'm also joined by Professor Dongle, Department of Political Science, Mizoram University. So what does coming of ZPM in Mizoram mean? For an audience outside Northeast, what does it mean? Collapse of two-party system, MNF versus Congress, or does it mean little more than that? And my second question to all my audience is, once this is over, does it also mean that Manipur did not impact Mizoram at all? You know, the way Zoramthanga started speaking about, you know, our people, Chin people, Kukizo people, you know, people voted on issues which concerned them. Professor Dongle, to you first.
Yeah, let me come to your second question. Actually, you cannot just marginalize that Zhou unification. That is the standpoint of ZPM also. So, MNF is defeated does not mean that Zhou unification or Kuki Zhou people concern is neglected. It is not marginalized. ZPM also very much stands for that, and all political parties in Mizoram stand for that. So don't just marginalize that. That is the first important point which I would like to point.
Professor Dongle, what do you mean by unification? Can you elaborate on that?
No. Unification means good relationship with blood-related brothers across the national and international border. And that is what the Zoro has been standing for. And that is what that has been propagated by different political parties in Mizoram also. And the one sitting beside you, he just said, and he also repeated that, just because MNF is defeated, it does not mean that Mizo people or the Zhou people does not concern their blood-related brothers across the national and international border. It is not, because ZPM also very much stand for that. That has been mentioned, and that has been, I was together with the ZPM General Secretary in All India Radio live discussion today, and himself mentioned clearly that very point. So that is my first clarification. And with regard to this ZPM, as we know, the political situation in Mizoram since district council era, it was mainly a fight between two main dominant parties. So during the whole district council era, in the initial stage, it was struggle for power between Mizo Union and United Mizo Freedom Organization. Then by the end of the term, it was a fight between Mizo Union and Congress. And during Union Territory era, the struggle for power was between Congress and People's Conference of Brigadier Tisino. Then after statehood, the situation changed in such a way that the two dominant parties happened to be MNF and Congress. So Mizoram got statehood on 20th February 1987, and since that time, government has been repeatedly changed between MNF and Congress. And for these many years, Chief Minister has been interchanged between Lalduhoma-led and Zoramthanga. So people of Mizoram, they have the eagerness to taste for the other party other than Congress and MNF. And that gap has been filled up by ZPM with its election slogan of Kalpungthar, new system. So the new system, this is the Kalpungthar, their policy. And with this, ZPM promised that they will work with the new system, then they will introduce new system, and they will function different from what the earlier Congress government and MNF government has done. So people of Mizoram, they have high expectation upon the promise and election slogan of ZPM. As a matter of fact, ZPM has been given amended by the people. And before election, in the exit poll, many they predicted that there will be hung assembly. But I flatly negated that, because Mizo voters usually prefer for stable government, single party government. And due to that, from the very beginning, I don't believe that there will be hung assembly in these ongoing elections also. And the result is coming out today. Absolute mandate has been given to ZPM. And with regard to the issue that you raised, so by dint of defection, defection from both MNF and Congress, BJP can manage to win 2 seats in Mara Autonomous District Council.
Okay.
BJP wins 2 seats in Mara Autonomous District Council does not mean that all Mara support BJP. You should not take it in that way. So why they voted for BJP and why BJP is winning there? BJP is winning there because their leaders are in BJP. They blindly follow
Okay,
their leaders.
that's a wonderful explanation, Professor Dongle.
Manifesto, it is not due to the influence of BJP mandate, and Modi
Okay.
magic or Amit Shah Modi is not working here.
Okay, wonderful.
They vote for BJP because
wonderful.
their leaders are
ठीक है, that is your opinion. You know, you are, Professor
And it
Dongle,
does
you are
not mean
entitled
that
to your
all the
opinion.
Maras support BJP.
Professor
One more
Dongle,
is-
there are
one-
other guests also. I have
Yes,
given you
yes.
4 minutes to
Yes.
speak. I'll come back to you
Subhash
again.
Sharma has already clarified it.
Yes.
So,
There are other guests. Mr. Chakma has always been part of my show. Mr. Chakma has been coming to my show for past 6 months. So he knows he knows my show. Mr. Dongle, wait, I'll come to you. I'll come to you. So my Suhas, you know, my question was that even Zoramthanga has lost election. You know, it's a big loss. You know, Chief Minister losing the seat, it's a big loss. You know,
9 out of 11 ministers losing.
9 out of 11 ministers have lost. He was talking about Zobi, Chin people, he was talking about it. So my question, it didn't work for him. It worked for ZPM, but it didn't work for him.
No, I think my predecessor was quite correct, because as far as the persecution of the Jaw people in the neighborhood, whether in Bangladesh, Myanmar or Manipur, I mean, the position of all the political parties was actually the same and will continue to be the same. So that is why no particular political party actually can get any kind of sympathy out of that process. Because even prior to the incidents in, Manipur, the Chin people were forced to flee from Myanmar, and everybody was extending support. So I never thought that, the support or the issue of the Jaw people from the neighborhood of Mizoram would be an issue, because everybody, as I said, it's a common minimum program. It's like, so there was no way, Zoramthanga could have got any kind of political benefit out of the process. I think it was very clear from the beginning. I think what is clear is that people in Mizoram wanted to change. There have been many allegations of corruption against the Congress, and MNF, when they came to power, they could not make any dramatic changes in the last 5 years. So actually people want change, and there's a new generation which has come up. We no longer live in an age where information is not available. I think as time passes by, information technology is reaching out to people, and people are making much more independent decisions, in the sense they could assess what is good and what is bad for them. And of course, there is still, you will find pockets which my predecessor had mentioned, that people still follow the leader, so they will both, irrespective of whether one is in BJP or MNF or ZPM. That's true, but at the same point of time, I would say, I think ethnicity is not an issue which played any role actually in this election. Communal issues, ethnic issues, we are not on the agenda of any of the political parties in Mizoram, which is quite encouraging in that sense. Despite violence in the neighborhood, that was not an issue, and that's something to be appreciated. And I think people just wanted to vote for good governance and what would benefit them.
And the new system, I would really like to know in the later part of the conversation what the new system is, Brijesh, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it was very fascinating to see that, that people were so taken in by the new system, the promise of the new system, that they gave him a landslide.
The promise of the new system.
The promise of the new
system. New system has to work.
Absolutely.
Then it becomes a system.
Absolutely. So I would like to ask you, Professor Dongle, if you can just elaborate a bit about, what exactly is the new system which has been promised by, and what exactly did Zoramthanga not do so as to, scrape through this election, which many felt could have gone his way.
The new system, the ZPM, which they highlight in their manifesto, it is divided into 6 chapters. I think 10 chapters. The first chapter is about agriculture and allied sector, what they have to do in that regard. Then the second chapter, let me just highlight the main point. The second chapter is about what they have to do in industries. Then the third chapter is about power and electricity. The fourth one is about transport and communication. The fifth is about water supply. 6 is about education, 7 is about hair and hair care, then 8 is about social security and welfare, 9 is about administrative reform, and 10 is financial reform. So from that, and they said that what has not been practiced earlier, and they will really run people's government. So a lot of expectation. There is a lot of expectation from the people with regard to this ZPM, and it is a really Herculean task, and it is a tough time for the ZPM also. So it is good that ZPM is coming to power with absolute majority, but will ZPM be able to fulfill all these its election promises, and particularly the new system? The electoral will be watching towards the ZPM, and if ZPM is performing, then ZPM will be given another chance.
Okay.
But if ZPM is not acting and is not performing as per its election promises, electorate may throw ZPM away in the next election. Who knows? So
Okay.
we have to wait and watch. This new system, I think we have to wait and watch from the performance and functioning of the government when it is installed.
Okay, wait and watch. Mr. Sangha, new system in place, but why did so many MNF ministers lost their seats? So many MNF ministers lost.
As I have said, there is a strong MNF government has not been doing well since the last five years. There is a very, very strong anti-incumbency against the MNF. So, the advent of social media help with this anti-incumbency sentiments. So there has this. I attribute these electoral debacles to these anti-incumbency wave, which has been big among the people. So the MNF government performances during the last 5 years have not been up to the mark.
I have not been able to go across to Lalduhoma-led. I'm asking this question again to you. Why did so many ministers lose? Incumbency is a very generic thing. Specifically for top leaders to lose in Mizoram, there has to be a specific reason. Zoramthanga also losing his seat. Madam, am I audible to you?
Hello?
Yes, am I audible to you?
Yes, I'm yeah.
So I'm saying, why did so many ministers lose their seat?
It is mainly because of the bad performance of the MNF ministry in the past 5 years. This is the main reason. There was nepotism, there was corruption cases, there were bad performance by the leaders. The unemployment rates have been increasing. So the SCDP program, which they promised to distribute 2 lakh rupees, were not fully given to the to those beneficiaries as well. So therefore, this bad performance is one of the main factor which many of the MNF ministers have been losing. Out of 12 council of ministers, including the CM, 10 have lost. Only 2 ministers survived this election. So my answer is that it is mainly because of the bad performance of the MNF ministry.
Madam, tell me one thing. What was the most unique or something which excited the minds of the people which ZPM offered? What was that one thing? Like Ladli Behna in Madhya Pradesh. What was that one thing which ZPM offered which excited people in Mizoram?
Okay. Yeah, the one thing which excites the voters is that the ZPM has asked the masses to test them. They request, they have been putting this request to the masses that please test us. And and they promised, they took a pledge in front of their elders council and to the that has shown to the media that all the 40 candidates of the ZPM pledge for corrupt not to indulge in corruption. And that, this is the first, kind of a public activity which has been done by the contestants, candidates, I should say the candidates, in this electoral field. So, and,
can I say,
is it
curtains for Zoramthanga? Can I say it's curtains for Zoramthanga?
Not exactly that, we can say that it's the people's willingness and the people's acceptance of the ZPM as a salvator or as a third way, which could salvate them from, the past ministries, which have a track.
Okay, let me go to Professor. Point taken. Let me go to Professor Dongle. Professor Dongle, is it curtains for Zoramthanga? Is it end of the road for him? Political, he was secretary to Lalduhoma in 1987. Zoramthanga, he has come a long way, so many years in politics, but with such a massive defeat, do you think his legislative career is over?
No, we cannot say just like that, because earlier also, Zoramthanga faced the same defeat. He was chief minister from 1998 till the election in 2008. Then in 2008, he was defeated. Then Congress captured 3/4 of the seats. Then in the next election also, he was defeated again. But he could manage to come back in 2018. So this loss does not mean, and we cannot predict that this is the end of Zoramthanga. The political situation is different in Mizoram. See, in 1998 also, after 2 years rule of Indian National Congress, after Lalduhoma-led's tenure as continuous rule of more than 10 years, in 1998, Congress was defeated by MNF. Then Lalduhoma-led himself was defeated from his traditional Sherchip constituency, where the ZPM chief ministerial candidate Lalduhoma is elected now. So, but in the next election, Lalduhoma managed to come back. So, the defeat of Zoramthanga does not mean that may not be the end of his political career. We have to wait and watch. We cannot predict any political future currently.
Okay. Mr. Chakma, do you think it's end of the road for Zoramthanga?
Well, absolutely not. He has made it very
absolutely
clear.
Absolutely not.
No, not at all. Because he has already made it clear that he wants to remain part of the NDA. So he has already indicated that he will remain part of NDA. And in fact, ZPM has declared in its manifesto that it's a secular party. So by that definition, it distances from the NDA government. And, for the ZPM, the biggest challenge is to generate the resources through which he will buy these 4 items which he had mentioned: turmeric, ginger, chilies, and broomsticks. That's a substantial amount of money, about 1,000 crore rupees per year. So if you can't generate that, if you can't get the money from the central government, obviously the Mizoram doesn't generate adequate revenue from the state to buy them. So therefore, the ZPM faces a serious challenge in terms of meeting the expectation of the people. And meeting the expectation is very difficult because, once again, Mizoram doesn't have the adequate infrastructural facilities. Even if you have the money, you possibly do not have the means, the communication facilities to buy from the last mile, and people will still be complaining, my products have not been bought. So that, I don't think you can be perfect about that. You can fully implement it. The system is not in place. So therefore, I think the challenge for the ZPM is to maintain distance from the NDA. And of course, if they want to come within the NDA, then, MNF will oppose. I think what we have to accept the fact that I think the Congress has a very difficult role, but ZPM, MNF will still remain a force. And please remember, all said and done, because he is part of the peace process, the MNF peace agreement, he still remains allegiant irrespective of whether he wins or not. And if ZPM fails to perform, he'll be back once again. So that's why I'm saying not at all, he's not out, because of the relations which he has with the NDA. And the fact that, BJP has 2 seats and they would like to get more seats. And if I think the problem for Mr. Laluma is that he has absolute majority.
But there's a third play, 20% of the vote and 1 seat. Professor Dongal, is it curtains for Congress also? I mean to say this is happening all across India. 20% of seat vote and 1 seat for the Congress party.
So what are you asking?
I am asking how can this happen? Party with I think 3% or 5%.
5%.
5% vote gets 2 seats.
Yeah.
20% it gets 1 seat.
See, this is not unexpected, but Congress is expect to win at least 3 seats, but that 3 seats also they cannot win. The thing is that the prominent Congress member who represented the constituency 5 times, Mr Chakma, also was defeated this time. Then the same with CLP leader Zodin Kruanga. So actually, frankly speaking, Congress is not expected to cross more than 3 seats in this election. But that also they cannot reach. So the performance of Congress is not a surprise because Congress is not yet properly revived. And at the top of that, there is also some internal fights within the Congress party.
I think that's very well put for the Congress across this country that there is an internal problem. I mean to say from Mizoram to Rajasthan, from one border,
with 1 seat
Pakistan
also you have
border to Myanmar border, Congress has problem in every state. I'm stunned by this. Professor Dongal has very beautifully put it. There are internal problems. I mean to say that except Telangana, they lost everywhere. But internal problem. This is completely mind-boggling, Brijesh. But I think the beauty of Indian democracy is what Mizoram has done. It has given a chance to a new party. 2 older parties set aside. Zoramthanga, senior leader, loses a seat. Peaceful transfer of power. I mean to say, but yes, what Suhas said is very, very important. How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. And when expectations are not met, political fortunes can be reversed.
Well, it can be, but you think of a situation where Karthikeya, where once you get to form the government, that is like breaking in is the most important thing. And if you promise a clean government and you even live up to 60-70% of the promises which you have made, people understand and people repeat that kind of government. So I think we shouldn't be prejudging as to what ZPM will be doing. But the fact of the matter is that yes, as far as the day is concerned, they are the hero as far as the state of Mizoram is concerned, and they have won this thing. They have promised a new political system.
I'm happy. Yes, the people of Mizoram are hero. It's a peaceful state. Even today, I wanted to do this show, but I thought today I will keep my focus on Mizoram. What had happened in Manipur today morning, the firing took place, and after that 11 bodies have been discovered. But that's a story for a different day, because it just tells us there's a state adjoining Mizoram whose conflict has not been rested, nothing has been resolved. On the other hand, you have such wonderful peaceful transfer of power. It shows hope. It shows hope that and this is so important in democracy. Even America couldn't do it last time around when Trump supporters went mad on the Capitol. So on this note, I would leave you with one more bite, and let me tell you, the commitment of News9 Live on Northeast stays.
First thing first, the anti-incumbency wave is very strong. Our state is almost 40 years old. During the last 4 decades, our state economy is growing very slowly, just like a snail pace. We cannot thrive in any sector due to poor infrastructure and corruption. Corruption and nepotism is very rampant in our past government, especially in the current government. Obviously, only a small fraction of people benefits from this current government. To be honest, we can say our government is like a kleptocracy government. So the people are losing all their hope and trust in the current government. The people of Mizoram are desperate to see and eagerly waiting for a big change. So just like the people had anticipated, the win of
literally every major power in the world is gearing up with its own digital currency. And so is India. But India's UPI has taken digital transactions to the next level. So, with UPI already available, what exactly is the use case for the e-rupee?